Dr. Mariana Lopez of Anguilla Ruskin University is teaching kids from Parkside College how to measure sounds in spaces. She's showing them how different places can completely change the volume, clarity and immersion of noises being made.
And it's about introducing them to concepts about sound, so sound propagation in outdoor spaces, so the free field more specifically, but also how sound behaves in indoor sites. And different ways of understand sounds, concepts like reverberation time and clarity are particularly key. And we are modifying content to, of course, fit the age group we're working on. And I'm also working quite a lot on teaching them how to do impulse response measurements. So an impulse response measurement is a way of studying a space. So it's how a space reacts to an impulsive sound. So it could be a hand clap or a balloon burst. And that information can tell us a lot about how sound behaves in that space.
With each pop, the kids are collecting data which can then be used by sound mixers creatively.
So we can take, for example, a recording that we did of a singer or an actor in a dry studio or an anechoic chamber, so a place that has no sound reflections or very few of them. And we can then convolve it, so combine it with these acoustic measurements we did, and make that person that was in a studio sound like they were performing in King's College Chapel or in a Greek amphitheatre or wherever it is that we studied. Okay, can you hear that difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a massive difference, isn't it?
Mariana specialises in studying how people in the past used places for sound. Last July, her team collected data from King's College Chapel to show what displays and performances worked best in the space.
Musical compositions were generally adjusted to fit the acoustics of the spaces they had. So, for example, when we study plangent items, which are performed quite slowly in general and with very simple rhythms, they fit perfectly the acoustics of the cathedrals at the time. So, if we sing a Gregorian chant, a plangent item, in acoustics that were maybe developed for a different type of music, it wouldn't sound that fitting. So we know that there is that idea of fitting music compositions to the spaces that were available for performances. Until now we have more like anecdotes about the acoustics of King's College Chapel. But we don't actually have any data about how sound really behaves when we move throughout the space. And I'm particularly interested in the fact that in medieval times there were drama performances in the antechapel section. And this is quite curious because the acoustics of King's College Chapel wouldn't be the ideal for speech. But for example, we know where the Queen would have sat, and I'm particularly interested in seeing maybe if the Queen had a better acoustical experience than the rest of the people attending.
When they're ready, the kids will be collecting their own data from a variety of sites across Cambridge, and where they go is completely up to them.
I think I'll collect it in Cambridge University, Botanic Gardens, because they're like nice places, and in Cambridge University there might be like a big hall so it sounds like really echoey, and Botanic Gardens is like nice, there's lots of nature, so there's going to be like butterflies, bees, like you hear birds.
Maybe like somewhere in a market because like it's crowded and like the area's big, so the sound could be echoey and loud.
Cambridge University because it's very large and it might sound echoey.
I was thinking maybe Parkside Pool because the sound is really like reverberated and echoey in there, and also maybe a park somewhere in Cambridge, so there's like nature and other people's voices in it.
These kids will be working on the project until July, and what they get will be used to build up a picture of the sound of the city. Adam Page, Cambridge TV News.